नमस्कार। मैं विनीता झा कारा में काम करती हूँ। 21 साल से काम कर रही हूँ और मैं लाइव हूँ। अभी आधे घंटे के लिए बातें करनी है और मैं सबको अपना सप्रेम नमस्कार करती हूँ। अभी अभी पता चला है प्रणब, हमारे एक्स प्रेसिडेंट प्रणब मुखर्जी का देहांत हो गया। संवेदना और उनका आशा करती हूँ द सोल रेस्ट्स इन पीस। मे द फैमिली मेम्बर्स overcome the grief that they are undergoing right now, and may they be able to overcome whatever they are. So I begin the live show with a little prayer. हिंदी का प्रेयर है, और क्योंकि हम जो भी काम करते हैं जीवन में ईश्वर को ही समर्पित रहता है, और खासकर दत्तक ग्रहण या समाज कार्य का कोई कार्य हम करते हैं, अगर ईश्वर की दया दृष्टि हम पे ना हो, नहीं हो सकता और हम कहीं भी आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते। इसीलिए ये प्रार्थना, गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः, गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। In English, I have invoked the presence of Guru, Brahma, Vishnu, and as we all know, and it is the day which is dedicated to Shiva. And Shiva has been the guiding force in my life and in my journey of adoption. The name, I guess, through the formal invite, everybody knows I'm Vinita Jha. Who am I? Well, I'm a professional, and I did my social work, Masters in Social Work from Delhi School of Social Work. 24 years ago I passed out, so it's been quite a journey. And for since the last 21 years I have been at CARA. Well, what exactly is CARA? CARA is Central Adoption Resource Authority. Yes, we are an authority on the subject of adoption. But have we become an authority in a day? No, not exactly. It has been a journey, very, very small. It was an, it just a society had been registered, Registration Act, and we were a NGO kind of a body, and had that status. And from there on we moved on to the status of being declared as a autonomous body in the field of adoption. And from there on, from being an autonomous body in the field of adoption, we have traveled beyond, and now we are a statutory body since Ma'am Menka Gandhi has given us the status in the JJ, and we are quite a body. We are the deciding body for the process of adoption, and the process of adoption has a lot of technical glitches which everyone needs to remember, and needs to remember and be very, very particular about. Most of the times what we notice is that illegal adoptions keeps happening. Illegal adoptions are mostly direct adoptions, wherein they want the parents and the adults who make the children available to the parents who are willing to shell out a lot of fee and give money for the process of adoption, and naturally they get a child and such adoptions are illegal. CARA, as a statutory body, takes cognizance and does not promote this kind of an affair, and it requests all the entire society, and so even this talk that I'm giving has that in mind, that if anybody who hears me or is listening to me, they should understand that the process of adoption has to be a legal one, and if you do things in a systematic way and in the way it has to be done, then you are on the right track. So CARA promotes legal adoption, and CARA come into being. CARA came into being because through the Supreme Court directives in 1984, what was happening was the children were being sent out in inter-country adoption without any body to monitor, without, and the Supreme Court gave us a directive that be formed, and they have to so that the inter-country adoptions are monitored. So process of monitoring inter-country adoptions. Now, what exactly was happening in inter-country adoptions? The children who we were unable to country, they were being sent abroad, and to like USA, Italy, Scandinavian countries, and other countries too. So these were the countries where the children started going for inter. And however, lately our mandate has become we have to be giving prime focus to in-country adoption. And now, what do I talk about adoption? Adoption socio-legal process in adoption. In adoption, the relationship of the child is severed legally from his or her biological parents, and child becomes the lawful child of his or her adoptive parents. All the rights, privileges, and responsibilities post-adoption are similar to that in the case of a biological child. So, if we look at it, in the process of adoption, we have two ends. At one end, we have the child, and at the other end, we have the parent. So the child is a child who is wanting to be adopted, waiting to be adopted, and at the other end, we have the parent who is wanting to adopt a child because the parents are not having a child, or it could be other reasons too. And and the process through which the child goes to the adoptive family, that process is the legal process in which we have different stakeholders, and each stakeholder has different roles to play, and they have to do what they have to do so that the process is smooth, uniform, and time bound. So what we look at while assessing the eligibility of PAPs in country adoption. Now I'm only talking about in country adoption process. In country adoption right now, I have a huge database of parents wanting to adopt. In fact, there are around 26,000 parents wanting to adopt children, and most of them want to adopt normal children. And at the other end, I have as many children who could be offered to these parents. Most of the parents who want to adopt the children want to adopt normal children. That is, they want to adopt children in the 0 to 2 years age group. And that is where we have the placement of the child in this category is very easy, very smooth, and we don't have to do anything about it because we have many takers for such children. Now, what are the problems which we face however, small children, but what about the children who have some needs, that is special needs? There are children who are special needs, and in India we do not have parents who are willing to adopt special needs children. That is why Kara has to work very hard to find takers for such families. However, the placement of such children in country is almost next to impossible. So what we do is try to declare the children as special needs. The categorization of special needs is specifically done by Kara on the regulations, adoption regulations criteria. This criteria has been made in consultation with the experts in the field, that is the doctors from the AIIMS and other experts who are experts in the subject and know which children can be categorized as special needs children. So coming back to the assessment of the eligibility for adoptions, home study is the document which is the most important document through which we assess the suitability of a PAP. The home study is to assess and eligibility of the PAPs and social worker of a SA in the place of PAP's residence, and it has to be prepared as per the format given in Schedule 7 of Adoption Regulations 2017. And this home study has a validity of 3 years. Now, what do we assess in as per the social workers who social workers who go have to make home visits to prepare the home study, have to ensure various the status. What is it that they see? The motivation of the parents. Why is it that a particular parent wants to adopt a child? Will they be able, are they capable enough to look after the child which would be offered to them as in the process of adoption? So this is something which is very important, and social workers are a very important social workers are very important for the process of adoption to be smooth and time bound. So this is not the only document that these social workers ensure for on behalf of the PAPs. At the other end, we have a CSR MER which is prepared for the child too. So these are the two documents which are in which the role of the social worker is very important. I to read out to you and specify to you what are the steps in the process of in-country adoption. For the steps in the process of in-country adoption are: 1. Step 1, and upload the documents on Carings. Carings is an online portal, and online portal on which the PAPs have to upload the documents. The moment they register, they get a UID and password which would be there for them in the entire process of the when they get a referral, and when they have to reserve, and when they have to, so the entire process. Home study is conducted by a social worker of a SA, and the PAPs have to mention, PAPs based on choice and eligibility are referred profile of legally free children. They have to reserve a child within 48 hours, and then the matching of the PAPs with the child is done by the adoption committee. Days now, because of the pandemic, this period has been extended for 30 days, and then these parents accept the child, accept the child referred to them, and they then take the child in PAFC, that is, we call it as pre-adoption foster care. Pre-adoption foster care is the arrangement wherein the parents get to take the child home and are able to. So this is the in-country parents get an opportunity of taking the child quite fast, and at the other, so I was talking about two ends of the spectrum. So at the other end of the spectrum was the child who had to be adopted, the orphan, abandoned and surrendered. Orphan would be a child who does not have parents. It would be a child who does not have claimants. Surrendered would be a child who has been given up by the parents. It could be for various reasons. If I remember, in the initial days, we used to find that the girl children were given away in adoption. In fact, or unwed mothers would have to give up their children and surrendered their child. So these are the children who are surrendered, and then these children who are often abandoned have to be placed before the CWC, who have the role of declaring these children as legally free for adoption. Post that, these children are placed in CCIs or SARs for immediate care, and the procedure for declaring the child as legally free is done at the grassroots level by District Child Protection Unit. Once the child is declared legally free, matched with a PAP, who is on the other end of this spectrum, then application of the birth certificate of the child has to be done within 8 working days. Court order has to be finished off within 60 days, and it has to be an in-camera proceeding. Filing of petition by the SA as with PAPs as a co-petitioner has to be done within 10 days of acceptance of the child by the PAPs. Then the post-adoption follow-up is done for 2 years. After a gap of 6 months, the post-adoption follow-up has to be done. Now, however, so right now I was talking about the children being placed in country adoption. However, unfortunately, we do not have all the children cannot be placed within the country, because our in-country parents have some kind of prefixed mindset, and that is, they want a certain kind of a child. They are ready for a smaller child. If a child has some kind of issue, that is, for example, if a child has a palate, that child cannot be placed in country adoption, but we are very safely able to place such children in inter-country adoption. In fact, I would be very proud to tell you that the in-country and both in in-country and inter-country adoption process, the checks and balance mechanism of CARA is so foolproof that the disruptions and the dissolutions are almost minimalistic, and that is because of the team and the staff and the various stakeholders who do their tasks very well, and they keep cooperating with the at every step of the way. In fact, we are very pushy and very demanding, and despite our demanding nature, they try to fulfill their responsibilities, and which to me is a very good sign that if everybody works in the manner in which they have to work, the process is smooth, and we are able to fulfill our responsibilities, and ultimately the guiding. And in this, what are we able to do? We are able to meet the guidelines which are given to us. That is, in any decision that we take on behalf of CARA or any other stakeholder too, everybody has to remember the best interest of the child. That is the most core principle of taking any decision with regards to the adoption process. And another principle which we have to remember all the time is the child has to be first. The effort of all the stakeholders have to be to place the child within his own socio-cultural milieu, that is within the country. So as of now, 80% of adoptions have to be within the country, and this year, because of the pandemic, we have almost done around 3,000 plus in-country adoptions and around 350 or 60 inter-country adoptions. So these are the figures. And earlier, many children used to go. In fact, when I began the journey, there used to be 1,200 children going for inter-country adoptions. So those which I'm talking of must have been in the year 2000 or 2001. So it is almost 18-19 years ago. That was the trend. The trend was that we were sending many children in inter-country adoptions. But now we focus on the children being placed within the country itself. So, and why do we place why do we not have any objection to placing the children in inter-country adoption? Because we are Hague signatories, and because we are Hague signatories, we are the sending country, and as sending country, we have to ensure that the sourcing of the child becomes a very important thing. And at the other end, that is the AFAs, authorized foreign adoption agencies, have to ensure that they give us the right kind of parents. So the suitability of the parents is assessed at their end. So this is the way, and there's a $5,000 cost involved in the process of adoption. So any SA which is placing gets this much money. For the home study report, we have a 5,000 rupees, and for post-adoption follow-up, we have a 2,000 rupee fee structure which they can take. So now I will talk about the steps of inter-country adoption, which I was just telling you briefly about. The adoption of orphan, abandoned, and in this, the counseling and evaluation of HSR is done by the social worker of the AFA or the CA for the Hague signatory countries. Then the registration of PAPs and carings by AFA. Then we have the process of initial approval by CARA. Then child referral and reservation through carings. Again, this is the process which is almost the same for the inter-country PAPs too. However, the matching period is a little more, and we give the no objection certificate by CARA. This is something which is a very, until unless a parent gets a no objection certificate for a child which has been given to them in adoption, they cannot do anything. They cannot file a petition in the court. They cannot get Article 23, and they cannot take not be given a FRRO permit, that is exit visa will not be given for such a child. So this is a very, very important process. In fact, the courts across the country are now insisting on inter-country PAPs coming and taking the children themselves. So the physical presence is being demanded by the courts, which is a good thing, because all of us are ultimately working working and in tandem. We are in sync with each other, and all of us are looking at the best interest of the child, so that there is no element of trafficking involved. And I think I have just 5 more minutes, and what I would like to say beyond this, we have the post-adoption follow-ups for monitoring the children in country adoption and inter-country adoption too. So which is a process through which we get to monitor the children who we are placing with particular families, and whether they are keeping the children well, because there are cases of disruptions and too. So to minimize this, the post-adoption follow-up becomes a very, very important we also have the concept of root search. Root search is a very, very interesting phenomenon in the process of adoption, and for this the social workers and the PAPs have been lobbying that there should be an album for the child who is in a CCI, and some kind of a memory book, so that when the because until unless many kids have this need for a closure, and for this closure process they come back, they go back to the place from where they had been adopted, and this is important. And as a social and as members of the society, we understand this need of the PAPs to look back as to where they came from, and how is it that they have reached, whether and there is they naturally feel very satisfied if they get some kind of satisfactory answers. So Kara is trying to develop some kind of a portal for that also on Carings, and that's all. And very many stakeholders, DCPU, CWCs, SARAs, the SARS, so all respective and only then the process of adoption is complete. Finally, I really thank Sudeshna for giving me this opportunity of speaking on a subject which is actually really very, very dear to my heart. In fact, I treat it as a puja on an everyday basis. I am a very spiritual person. I believe that the fact that I am getting a chance to serve these children is a God's blessing to me personally, and I have really come a very, very long way in life. I have gone through highs and lows, but I have survived. I'm still positive, and my children are doing very well in life, and by the grace of God, I have all that I desire in life right now, because of the blessings of these children that I have been one long years. I would not be what I am today without the blessings. In fact, I make fun of myself that whenever a child is placed in adoption, I multiply it into 3, that is a child and 2 parents. So one act converted into 3 times. So 20, calculate if there have been 3,000 in country adoptions, so 9,000, I have touched the lives of 9,000 people in one single year, and the blessings are coming from so many people, and it is a beautiful feeling to be serving the society, because when we begin our journey, we are in that mode of survival. We want food, clothing, shelter. That is the principal areas which we look at. But through while moving on, our needs become different, and the need to give back. Right now, at the age of 48 and a half years, my only need is to give back to society and cooperate and collaborate with other people who are also in a similar fashion, doing their own bit for the society. And in this, I really compliment the foundation, and Sudeshna is a alumni from Delhi School of Social Work too. We both, in fact, she is an immediate junior of mine, and I can see that she is also doing a beautiful work. And the Vishamo Foundation, the children, when they are doing Chirayu Olkar, the child studied in DPS Bhopal. The mother was a divorcee and was working at NGO, and he did a mechanical engineering. And there is some Ashish Badania who has done a civil engineering. So these are kids who have done well. May God bless them. And because the rehabilitative process, wherever there are claimants and wherever there are adoption cannot be the only method of chapter 7 of JJ looks at these aspects, that is foster care and the sponsorship. So your organization is beautiful work. Thank you. That's all. And hoping I have spoken well, and hoping I have been able to make clear the process of adoption. And I hope if you find any child who can be placed in adoption and who can be declared, please take them to the CWC, get in touch with 1098 Childline. So these are the modes through which any child who is found without a claimant should be taken care of, and that child should be brought in the fold of adoption. Namaskar. Thank you. That's all.